Third down and 20.
And this is one I have been waiting to do for basically since he became the starter. This is Taysom Hill film analysis. I just wanted to have him get 3 games under his belt, which, according to random people on the internet, usually you need 3 games of film before you can legitimately make an assumption on someone, an analysis, whatever you want to call it. I usually like to do a little bit more, but I couldn't hold on to this one any longer. I was too excited to do it. And the question that me and Steed are going to be answering by the end of this segment is Taysom Hill the future quarterback for the New Orleans Saints? Or could he be the future quarterback for the New Orleans Saints? Steed, I'm going to start off with you. What do you think, as a Falcons fan, you see him beat your Falcons the past 2 games. What did you think of Taysom Hill's performances, the past 2 games? Well, 3 weeks, but almost back-to-back games.
I would say the second time we face him now, I can see a huge improvement in this game. Just him more confident throwing the ball, and he made some really huge plays. And we're probably gonna talk later about his third down success, so I won't dive into that too much. But we always knew he'd be a threat running the ball. Wasn't too sure about his passing game. As you saw, he got his first passing TD against us, so we're just breaking records again. Got 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sold on him completely on being a full on guy to have out there. Now you gotta realize this Saints team is built for success. You got a top 5 head coach in the game. You got a defense that is just since week 3 has turned on a different page. Is easily a top 5 defense in the league in my eyes. But he does what he needs to do. He goes out there, he executes the job well, doesn't turn over the ball too much, even though his fumbling, I have seen, has become a problem. Not a problem, but it's just...
It's an issue. It's not a problem. It's more of a minor issue.
Yeah, because there was where he did fumble on their last drive, and if we were able to pick it up, we're at the 30 and we're threatening there. And I don't know, but I really do like what Taysom Hill's doing this team, and I think they can be competitive moving forward in the playoffs with him. If Drew Brees, I don't know exactly the timeline of Drew Brees. I know he can come off IR this week or whatever, but I'm sure they're not trying to rush him back, especially when Taysom Hill's 3-0 and beating your division rival twice in 1 year.
Yeah, that's all really good stuff. But I'm going to try and speed run this a little bit because I have a ton to show. But the first thing that I want to do is kind of clear some common misconceptions that I think have been developed around Taysom Hill. The first is going to be his arm strength. A lot of people think that Taysom Hill just can't throw the ball far enough. And I think that isn't necessarily true. Yes, his arm strength probably falls on the lower end of the bell curve, but I have his accurate range at about 55, 56 yards. Accurate range, for those who don't know, I first heard it by Matt Waldman. Check him out on YouTube. He's great for scouting. And basically, it's how far you can throw the ball accurately. And the best way I can describe it is Baker Mayfield can throw the ball 70-something yards, but he cannot throw the ball accurately 70-something yards. So Baker Mayfield's accurate range is 60 yards. Taysom Hill is only a handful of yards behind that. Now, granted, I've only seen him really throw the ball 55 yards. I'm not sure how much farther than that he can throw it. I'd have to work him out or just see it on tape at some point. But I think that he has enough of an arm to play in the NFL. I don't think that that's something that's going to hold him back necessarily from being a starter. Yes, it might hinder him in terms of, is he the best quarterback in the NFL or a top 5 guy? But in terms of a guy that can play, I don't think so. And, a play that a lot of people look at was this play against the Falcons that we saw that first matchup 3 weeks ago, where he goes and throws a duck to Emmanuel Sanders. But the thing that I want to point out just really quickly is that, you know, he kind of got screwed up by this guy right here. I'm pretty sure it's Grady Jarrett, just coming in at his legs. No, it's 55 right here. He's crow
Oh, the
hopping into this is
memes.
his first start, and he's not able to get a clean platform here on this throw, which I think one of the reasons why it only goes like 50, 51 yards, because you saw on that BYU throw, he threw that ball 4 yards farther and he had a clean pocket. So that's just what I quickly want to dispel there. And the other common misconception I have is that Taysom Hill is not a quarterback that wants to be very not necessarily be mobile, but he wants to be in the pocket when he throws, which I feel like if you listen to talk shows and don't necessarily watch the Saints with Taysom Hill, you would think, oh well, he's a quarterback, one read, maybe gets the check down, then run. That's not really who Taysom Hill is. He as a quarterback, running is one of his last options. Unless he sees a huge amount of space and is able to cleanly get out of the pocket, mainly due to there being an actual pass rush, then he'll run. But he's not a quarterback that instantly looks to run. When you think of a mobile quarterback, you think of someone like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is someone that he will look at one read, and if he sees a glimpse of space, he's running. He doesn't care about the play, which is fine. You're Lamar Jackson. But I think the common misconception is that Taysom Hill would be in that similar vein of, oh, I'm just going to run whenever I see any open grass. And that's just not true. And not only that, Taysom Hill is much more comfortable throwing in the pocket. This is from last week. This is a really nice throw. Some decent anticipation on this curl route to Jared Cook. And this is exactly what Taysom Hill wants. He wants a clean throwing lane, space to step up. He can escape if he needs to buy some time. This is exactly what Taysom Hill wants. He's not a guy that's panicking in the pocket and then rolling out and throwing on the run. He really doesn't like throwing off platform a whole lot. And I think that that's just kind of the two common misconceptions around Taysom Hill right now. So let's get into his strengths. What is Taysom Hill good at? Well, we just saw it on that play. This kid's got a really good fastball throw. Taysom Hill is the quarterback. He wants to have some space in front of him in the pocket, a couple of yards, and a nice little throwing lane for him to step up and really drive in a fastball. And these types of throws are what Sean Payton has been trying to implement in the game plan. Here's a 3rd and 17. You're going to see the Falcons are doing the sticks coverage, and they do a pretty bad job of it, unsurprisingly. You're going to see there's just way too much space for Michael Thomas here at the bottom of the screen. But look at Taysom Hill here. This is exactly what he wants. Space to step up and just throw a fastball right to the sideline. Just beat AJ Terrell with his arm, hit Michael Thomas on the sideline, 3rd and 17 conversion. Like, to be completely honest, if you didn't know this was Taysom Hill starting, this looks like Drew Brees a little bit. And
Yeah.
this is the whole thing. A quarterback with a bad arm, AJ Terrell can probably get there and make that play. Taysom Hill's arm strength is not the problem with him as a quarterback. And when I had heard people initially seeing that Taysom Hill was starting for this team, everyone's like, oh, well, he doesn't have NFL arm talent. Okay, yeah, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not bombing the ball 70 yards and doing crazy stuff off platform. But he hasn't that's an 30 yards on an out route, probably 25 yards, and he beats a corner that had 7 yards to go. Like, yeah, it's open for NFL standards, but that's a good throw. That's a really good throw. And I just really want to hone in on how Sean Payton is calling these games for Taysom Hill, because this is really important for if he can be a quarterback in the NFL. So what they're going to do is they're going to have double ins called. They're going to have here, this in, and then out here, they're going to have another in right behind it. Double posts, double digs with this guy running a flat. And this is just like the perfect concept for Taysom Hill. Just have this first dig, soak up this safety here, and then give him a little bit of space to fire in a ball in between the corner and the safety for a touchdown. And Like, it's just so crazy how, like, this is such a simple concept, but it works perfectly for this team. You see this little bit of space, and this is exactly the kind of throw that Taysom Hill is really good at. And Sean Payton knows this, and he's calling all these concepts the entire game. He's calling concepts for Taysom Hill to just drive fastballs into his receivers, whether it's on the outside towards the sideline or whether it's towards a dig on the inside trying to beat a safety. They were calling these up, dialing these up all game, and it was working to perfection. So some other quick strengths of Taysom Hill. Obviously, he has legs. He's a very good running quarterback. He's tough to bring down. For a guy in his third start, he has pretty damn good decision making. He didn't make a ton of wacky. Yes, he makes young player mistakes. We'll get into that a little bit more towards the end part of the analysis. But the biggest strength I saw out of Taysom Hill is just the dramatic improvement from games 1 and 2 to game 3. It was just really awesome to see how much he has improved as a quarterback. So you just saw this double ins concept right here, right? This double post, double digs. Here's like the same concept last week against the Broncos. You're going to have 2 digs, one here, flat. And this is 3rd and 12, and you can see he's got this first one wide open, and he doesn't see it. Maybe he doesn't want to pull the trigger. Maybe he's not reading the leverage of this linebacker, or he's reading this guy down here. Regardless, he doesn't throw it, and he takes a sack. Literally, the very next week, he goes out, he runs the same concept in the red zone with less space, and throws a great tight window throw here. Like, is that not the development that you want to see out of your young quarterback? That is perfect.
Quick,
As a
dude.
Saints fan, I would be ecstatic with that.
Yeah, it's
What were
very
you going to
quick
say, Steve?
development. It's very quick development. I mean, that's from a week apart from each other. So tells me that he's a fast learner and probably looks at a good amount of film. And, like his third week being truly implemented as a starting quarterback, you could kind of see him, especially in this Falcons game, that he's truly understanding the system now. And it's a good sign for the Saints.
Yeah, here's another one. You're gonna get a dagger concept. You're gonna have this guy clearing out the dig right off the back. Look how well timed this is. Bang. Right before the safety gets there. And this is exactly, see, Sean Payton is doing such a good job of just playing to his strength. Let's block all these guys. Look at all this time and space that Taysom Hill has to step into this throw. This is why people call Sean Payton one of the best offensive coaches, is because he doesn't take players to work around his system. He works his system around the players. And this is absolutely massive because this is an organization and a team that legitimately believes in developing players. It's shown time and time again that they have the ability to develop guys and that they're willing to work around guys, which is huge for Taysom Hill because not only can you see it happening live, you can easily transition a lot of this stuff into next season. And it's just really big for his overall development. Some of the other things I saw that he improved on that I just don't really have the time to show. He was hitting his check down this game a whole lot more and just getting rid of the ball. He showed way better anticipation, which, like you said, I think is just a result of him studying more film, understanding the system. And even from day one, when he wasn't playing terribly well, he just has a really good understanding of the matchup that he wants to go to. If he sees Michael Thomas in one-on-one coverage, he's hitting Michael Thomas in one-on-one coverage. And you should. The guy got paid like $20 million a year to beat
That's what he's
coverage one-on-one. And he's not
that's what he's
forcing
there
the
for.
ball to him in double coverage. It's just, I see Michael Thomas one-on-one, I throw slant to slant boy. But
Little slant boy.
yeah, slant boy. I mean, they're lucky. The slant boy is so good. I'll give him credit. But where is the bad? Because Taysom Hill is obviously not a perfect quarterback. And I think one of the major problems with Taysom Hill is that he still has a long way to go in terms of development as a pure passer of the football. He has that fastball, and he's really good when he has some space to step up. He has a throwing lane, but everyone's good with that, right? Everyone's good when everything's working. When he even has like the slightest bit of pressure, especially from the front, not necessarily from the sides, when he has pressure in his face, it's tough for him to make throws. He really does struggle a little bit. Okay, this is the wrong example here. But the other problem I have, we'll get into the second one first, is that fastball is all he's really got. He doesn't have a ton of touch on his throws,
Yeah.
which when you take the two of them and combine those issues where he struggles against pressure from the front and he has poor touch on a lot of his throws, you kind of get a one-dimensional quarterback, which Sean Payton can work with because he's one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL. But when you're not playing the Falcons every week that give you first downs half the plays, and side note, I have never done a film analysis involving the Falcons where I have not seen them just give teams a touchdown. They happened in the first matchup between the two. I think it was his first touchdown pass this game. They literally just didn't cover the guy he threw a touchdown to.
Yeah. He's wide
But
open.
you can see here, he has room to put this over the shoulder. He has a ton of space, and he wants to go for this fastball again, this same throw. Look at all the space he has over here to drop it in. You need to drop this throw in. You don't want to throw a fastball where you can have this defender, AJ Terrell, undercut it. And that's exactly what happens. That could easily be going the other way, that throw. And he has multiple throws on that same over concept that he wants to throw a fastball instead of dropping the ball into space. Here we're going to see another, this is just everything starting to come together. We can kind of get a better example here. You have the slightest amount of pressure in his face where he can't fully step into a throw and get a really clean throwing lane, and you'll see that he just can miss. And this is where he just needs to develop as a passer. He's not where he needs to be. He's nowhere near where he needs to be. But you see how much he's improved. And that's what gives you hope as a Taysom Hill believer is that, yeah, you'll have plays like this where, he's trying to fit in a window. He's trying not to throw a pick and he throws it behind. It's a bad throw. It's an ugly one. But you've seen the progression and you know that he can continue it to improve. Here's where it kind of all comes together, these issues. You're going to see there's pressure in his face and an open guy. He's just not able to throw it over this defender in his face to a wide open Emmanuel Sanders. And this goes on to the third issue that I saw. Not only is he not developed as a passer in terms of those touch throws, throwing into space, he's not really good off platform, which is kind of ties back to that common misconception about Taysom Hill. You think of a mobile quarterback, you think of a guy just throwing on the run as he's going out of bounds, escaping the pocket and throwing across his body. That's not what Taysom Hill is. That's not who he wants to be as a quarterback. He struggles throwing off platform. And not only does he struggle throwing off platform, you can tell he's not very confident throwing off platform. Just these throws where he has to move a little bit and then make a touch pass. This isn't what he's good at. He wants just a nice place to step up and throw the football on a line. When you start making him sidestep and do all this footwork, he's just not developed yet. This is not a bad throw. And the thing that you love is that this is the right read here. He has the right idea. He gets the ball out on time. He just needs to be developed more as a passer to start completing this stuff. And you heard Sean Payton compare him to Steve Young. I've heard a whole lot of analysts compare him to Steve Young. Well, I went back and I looked at Steve Young. Here's Steve Young's first season in the NFL, 1985, against I believe they're the Los Angeles Rams at this point. I'm not 100% sure, though. It's the Rams, though. And side note, Eric Dickerson destroyed the Buccaneers. This is a bad Buccaneers football team. I'm not very well versed in how the NFL landscape was in 1985, but I can assure you that this Buccaneers team was definitely not near the top of the power rankings. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, you can see here, Eric Dickerson running wild is the description. But this is where, even in Steve Young's first year, he is better than Taysom Hill at Taysom Hill's weak spots. Throwing under pressure, touch on the passes. This is what I want to see out of Taysom Hill. You're going to see there is pressure. Look at this block. Oh, hold on. Look at this block here by this tackle. This is atrocious. Oh no, I messed up. Oh geez. Oh geez. Here we go. Here we go. Back on track. Look at this block right here. But this is what Steve Young was way better than Taysom Hill at. This throw over linebackers under a corner of safety, under pressure.
That's pretty nasty.
He's not able to step up into that throw with a nice throwing window. This is an unbelievable throw, and you can see why Steve Young is a Hall of Famer. Even his first year for this dog crap team, this is a really, really tough throw. And this is why when I hear that comparison with Taysom Hill and Steve Young, I'm like, okay, kind of. But Steve Young is just a way better pure passer of the football. Now we're going to get into some more of his issues throwing off platform. You're going to see here, I noticed this trend that he has when rolling out and throwing off platform, not in the pocket moving around, but when he's just straight off throwing on the run. You'll have a guy open on the sideline right here. Just throw the ball. But when he gets greedy a lot. He gets greedy and he'll see someone open on the sideline, but then he'll look back across the field for a half a second. And this works in college because he's trying to see, oh, look at this space. Maybe I can fit a ball in here. Just take the yards, man. Just take the yards because by the time he wants to throw this football, just too late. He's getting nailed, incompletion, not able to be accurate. And this is one of the issues that you have with Taysom Hill throwing off platform. He's not that NFL ready yet. He just doesn't have that experience under his belt. Because in the college game, you can get away with peeking here, initially looking here, then peeking here, staring it down a little bit, then I can go back over here. Game's not that fast. And in the NFL, the game is a whole lot faster. And here's a great example of it. He's not able to gauge how much time he's really got. He gets destroyed. And it's an incompletion. And these are the little things because I'm looking back at this Falcons game and the Saints could have easily blown them the crap out. They could have blown them out, and they had plenty of opportunities to end the football game. And one of these issues is just that this is third quarter. This is 6 minutes and 5 seconds left in the third quarter. And here it is again. He's rolling out, and he just decides not to let it loose. That's open. That's not open. In NFL standards, that's wide open. Got to make this throw. And I think part of the issue is, I think Tony Romo said it best. I was watching one of his broadcasts. I don't remember which one. Tony Romo, it took him a couple seasons in the NFL to really trust his arm. And what he meant by that is, going through the reps, knowing the playbook. But not only that, not taking that quarter of a second, that third of a second to think, can I make that throw? Because this is what you can clearly see. I really think this is what Taysom Hill's doing. Is that he's thinking here, oh, can I fit that ball there? Do I make that throw? He needs to get his mechanics, his confidence, his gameplay down to not taking that third or quarter of a second to think, can I make that? He needs to just let it loose. Trust your arm. Know that you can make the throw. And this is the area I think that Taysom Hill needs to improve the most. And we've seen it a little bit. We've seen it. That Denver game, he just wasn't getting the ball out. You could tell he wasn't confident. He got his confidence up a little bit this game. But it still needs to improve if he wants to be a full-time starting quarterback for this organization. And then you just kind of get the general rookie mistakes. He's going to roll out here and miss a wide open touchdown here. I believe this is the beginning of the fourth quarter. Ends the ball game.
Jesus. Yep.
And I don't want to show this to say, oh, Taysom Hill, he can't see the field. Every quarterback misses guys open like this. It's hard. There's a whole lot going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just, you have to show it. There's a chance to take this team out of the football game. And you're right. That fumble at the end of the game could have cost them the football game. Could have really cost them the football game.
They're lucky it bounced the right way for them.
And the last thing I want to say before I kind of give the final verdict is what I want to see out of Taysom Hill going forward, if he's still playing as the quarterback for the Saints, is how he deals. Oh, well, this is just the wrong play. But basically, I want to see what happens when teams try to take away these intermediate level throws and force him to throw the ball over the top. If they're giving guys like Emmanuel Sanders one-on-one coverage on a post route, is he going to be able to hit it this time around? Because you saw he did hit it against the Falcons week 1. It wasn't pretty, and it was drastically underthrown, but it worked. I want to see, can that improve? Can that continue? Or is he just not developed enough as a passer to do that? And at the end of the day, my final verdict is a little bit ambiguous. I think he can easily be the starting quarterback for the Saints next year. 100%. I think right now he's probably the leading candidate to be the starting quarterback of the Saints right now. In terms of, are they drafting a guy? And if they draft a guy, is that drafted player going to start over him? I think right now Taysom Hill starts next year for the Saints. But is he the long-term answer? That's tough to tell. Because off the film, if you just thought based off of the past 3 games, you're leaning no. But I know this Saints team. I know Sean Payton. I've watched him too many times, too long now. He can develop this guy. This guy's got the talent. Yes, he's not the Patrick Mahomes. He's never going to be. But Sean Payton doesn't need a Patrick Mahomes. He just needs a guy that is accurate with the ball, that makes the right decisions, and is still a threat with his legs in the red zone. That's all he needs, and he's shown it this past couple weeks by going 3-0. So I do think that Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback for the Saints next year, and I think people need to really start putting into their mind that this guy could be the future quarterback for this football team. Granted, he's not going to be the most talented, and I would not be surprised if they try to draft a guy to develop under Taysom Hill. But people need to start acting like this kid is more legit. I don't understand what the hate is on him. Maybe people didn't like him coming out of the draft, so they don't want to be wrong. Maybe they just think that gadget players like a Taysom Hill will never be able to become a starting quarterback. You need a top pick, a top first rounder to be a starting quarterback. I think this guy's got the talent and the work ethic, though. And you've seen the improvement. He continues to improve like this. He's the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's definitely his job to lose next year. 3 games in, especially this past game, he looks like he's getting it together. There's still a lot of the season left for him to develop and become that starter mold. But one thing that was huge, especially this past week, was his his third down delight. And he
Yeah,
was just
third down, he
money.
was unreal. Do you have the stats?
Yeah, money on third down. He went 11 for 13 for 106 yards, 1 TD, and had a passer rating of 126.3. So unreal numbers there. I mean, that's like the bulk of his passing yards from last week. Honestly, it was on big third down conversions, like you saw in that one video where it was like a 3rd and 17. I remember the play. That's a huge conversion. That I'm pretty sure
These were not easy third downs, dude.
no, they
These were a
weren't.
lot of third and longs. Like, for a guy that when you saw him week 12 against Denver, he was bad. He was straight up bad against Denver. And he comes out the next week. Now, Drew Brees was on the sideline against the Falcons, not against Denver. Maybe that made an impact. I don't know. We're not there. But just in general, the improvement. Now, this guy's not going to go out there and play as well as he did against the Falcons every week. 100%. It's not going to happen. And I think that he does have some weaknesses that the Falcons weren't able to take advantage of. I want to see how he deals against a team like the football team, the Washington football team, of course, or the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they're able to create that interior pressure to where he has to like make throws on those weird angles all game. He can't step into every throw. It's not clean and nice every throw.
Yeah, that's a good
But
point. Also, you got to remember 2 of his 3 games have been against the secondary that's next to last to the Seahawks, who are historically bad in the passing game.
oh
So
yeah,
if he, I have faith in him, and I totally believe just based off the tape because it's still an NFL defense, and the Falcons defense wasn't what it was in Week 3, and if he go, I want to see him go up against one of these elite defenses, a top 10 defense, where he's going to be faced with a whole different mold. Because like now you get kind of like a book out on him, especially with 3 games in, like what he's good at and what he's not good at, and like all these good defenses with these good defensive schemes, good DCs, will be able to manipulate that and try to take away his bread and butter and see if he can make something uncomfortable. So for the weeks coming in, he's got to understand, yes, I had my best game and we're 3-0 and we're succeeding, but a lot worse could come if I don't continue on my uptrend because he's it it's weird. I understand the hate on him because like I think it is like that gadget kind of player, and maybe it's because people don't like kids from BYU or something. But like when you just turn on the TV and watch Taysom Hill, it's not like you're watching like a true like a definition of a quarterback. It's like it's a little different mold. And I think that's why people are just rubbed the wrong way about him. Maybe it's the way he looks too. Like he kind of looks like a little bit of a douche. But I mean, I'm just saying that, dude. As a Falcons fan, I'm just saying he kind of looks a little bit like a douche. He does. But maybe that makes him.
he's got that douchey atmosphere
He
about him, so
does,
people aren't
dude.
gonna
He's
like
just
him.
like that cocky guy. Like, I mean, he's not going to quarterback slide. He's going to like go in there with his like he's going to be physical. Like, dude, screw off, man. But like that being said, I think he has the tools. There's growth to be there. But the thing about Taysom Hill is you got to remember he's 30 years old.
I don't really care about that
30.
though. The thing is that I don't care how old he is. Like he only needs a little bit to be there. He just needs to work on his mechanics in the off season, just a little bit. He doesn't have to change anything crazy, just a little bit, so that he's better at that one throw that we saw where he sidesteps in the pocket and throws over a guy.
Carson
That's what
Wentz
he needs,
mechanics.
and then he needs to be able to throw in the run a little bit better, and then he just needs to trust his arm. He needs to trust himself, get some more games under his belt. I just think that people up until now have just always thought of Taysom Hill as just kind of just another guy. He's just there. Drew Brees makes him look good. He's, even compare him to Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is much better, much better.
Two
I'm not
different
saying that
players
Taysom
there.
Hill is the guy, but people need to start acting like he can be the guy. And the fact of the
Yeah.
matter is that I think that organization has a question to say, do we draft a quarterback or do we rely on Taysom Hill? Right now, with the way he's been playing, he needs to show you a little more and he needs to keep improving. There's a question though. You're not just set as an organization saying, "Oh, we're trading up for a quarterback," or "Oh, we're taking a quarterback that falls to us." You have a great opportunity here to have a quarterback on a superb team-friendly deal. Build around him, keep the pieces that makes your offense turn, the offensive line, the running backs, the receivers, that stud physical defense, and great coaching, and you can win games. I think that people just need to start treating them that way, at least begging the question. I think I was definitely someone that doubted Taysom Hill until I did this analysis on him. Now He's not where he needs to be, but he's improving. And if he keeps this upward trajectory, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens next season.
Dude,
But speaking of
I
the
just,
Eagles,
oh, hold on. This is just like one more thing, and this has to deal with like Sean Payton. For the last 2 years, when Drew Brees has gone down, they went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater, and they're 3-0 right now with Taysom Hill. That and like the offenses like changed with those quarterbacks too. It is crazy how they could change their offensive scheme like that. We're like molded around that QB, and they're undefeated. They're 8-0 with the backup QB the last 2 years. It's wild.
listen, Sean Payton is the king of I don't take players to fit my offense. I fit my offense around talented players. And I think a lot of coaches can take notes from him because the way that he plays to Taysom Hill's strengths on the dude, it's not like they were doing the craziest game plan. And the Falcons were throwing the freaking book at him on third down. I saw man coverage single high safety, man coverage two high safeties. I saw him from the same look go cover three. We saw 6 sticks coverage on third and long. I saw Tampa 2 from a one high safety look they would go into. Cover 4, blitzing on third down. They tried everything and they couldn't stop it. Granted, it's the Falcons and
Especially
they
on
just
man
screw up a lot,
coverage.
but
Yeah, especially on man coverage because you got to trust Isaiah Oliver out there, and that's pretty much just having a ghost. That dude's
but
wide
they
open every
tried
time.
everything and they couldn't stop. And Taysom Hill, he said after the game that it was goofy the looks that the Falcons were giving him on third down. I completely agree. It was just goofy. They
He liked
weren't.
it
I thought
apparently.
they put way too much of an emphasis on stopping Alvin Kamara, which stretched a lot of zones. I really wanted to go in more in depth on a lot of these plays, but that's it for the Taysom